our first panel of the day. It's a bit of an early start, so we're a bit bleary-eyed, but that's fine. We're here to talk about the Chanel show and have a wonderful panel. We've got Bella Freud, Treacy, Camilla Morton and Quentin Jones. Are you all excited about the Chanel show? Do people get excited about Chanel shows anymore?
I think so.
Yeah, people always get a bit excited about Chanel because it's the old guard, you know, and also Karl Lagerfeld is always looking to do something new, and even if it's not loved, you can see that he's sort of making an effort, and that's always good.
Do you think that you mentioned the sort of the newness with Karl? I think that is something that people definitely identify with him, is this idea of kind of pushing boundaries a little bit, and perhaps not in the most obvious way, but there is always the sense that he's kind of being a bit playful and a bit provocative with what he's doing. Would you say that's the case?
I think it's probably the most well-oiled brand in the world, and he's, you know, fashion is full of kind of old cart horses of labels, and he's revived Chanel better than anybody else has managed to revive any other label, and keep it going and keep it fresh every season. And it's purely driven by his talent.
It's interesting you say he kind of revived Chanel, because I think he's been there almost as long as Coco herself was, and I think it's quite easy to forget that, because there's always this sense with a heritage brand that it's kind of the person who's been there in the most recent sense is just kind of keeping it ticking over, whereas with Karl it's almost as much his as it is hers, and I feel like it's become so synonymous with Karl as a person.
Well, Chanel has something that very few of the other brands have. It has ingredients like, you know, camellias and chains and effects that are so Chanel, so he manages to keep that fresh every season, and not every big brand has all of those ingredients that immediately says Chanel, but he manages to make it fresh every season, don't you think?
Yeah, no, definitely.
What are those ingredients that have made it such a big brand?
Well, he's so plugged into the sort of the spirit of Chanel that he's been there 30 years, he's explored the archives, he knows the twin set, the pearls, the camellia. You know, there are codes that you instantly recognise, from the monotones to the blacks to the white. Did you find that?
It's the sort of fabric that's used every season, and it's like some people say it's slightly novel, you know, he kind of pushes the novelty factor, but I suppose it is just a way of re-exploring the same ingredients and sort of projecting them in a kind of fresh light so that people can kind of discover them in different ways through different perspectives each time. And I think that's kind of exciting, because
and it's hard to keep that look young, because young it isn't, but he manages to make it look young, and he uses the youngest, freshest girls.
Well, he's so interested in young people that he manages to connect it or associate it with youth, whereas actually it's not at all.
How does he do that? Why do you think it always has this kind of modern edge?
Because he's outrageous. And he is, you know, a total fashion animal.
And I think that contrast of the kind of fresh, almost like punky youth with the, you know, almost granny-like fabric sometimes is what makes it really exciting. It's that kind of visual contrast. Whereas with other brands that are so obviously youth-driven, maybe that wouldn't be so interesting. But with Chanel, I think it's like, you know, that contrast is actually quite interesting.
I'm interested, we've all kind of said it's this huge, huge luxury brand, and we've talked a little bit in some of our other panel discussions in a changing consumer, and how a lot of shoppers are more interested in having that piece that's got more of an air of I found this myself. And even with a label like Balenciaga, which you clearly didn't discover it yourself, there is that more of a personal relationship of something that not everyone has. And I wonder, with something like Chanel, do you think people find that as aspirational as they used to? There's not that kind of same personal connection with buying a piece that's, say, from a brand that doesn't advertise or isn't as iconic.
It's the ultimate in dressing up.
Yeah.
You know, I make hats for women that buy clothes for important events in their lives, and they want completely different. They want a hat nobody's ever seen before, but sometimes when all the clothes are lined up, it's 20 Chanel suits. So when in doubt, people buy Chanel, and it's the ultimate shopping.
Also, it's safe because it's well made, it's well proportioned, And that's makes a huge difference to, especially as you get older, to be edited well.
And it's flattering for real people.
And I think that each person, when they wear Chanel, can really make it their own in the way that each season he can reinvent it, by giving it a sort of more tribal flavour or Indian flavour or a sort of Ice Age, or he does all these different things with it.
Yeah.
And I think when each girl puts on Chanel, they can make it their own version of Chanel. They can wear it with jeans, they can wear it with a dress. So I think for each person, they can sort of discover it for themselves or work out how they're going to make it work.
I want to talk a little bit about Carl as a designer, because there's very much this kind of designer come dictator vibe to Carl. And I mean that in the best possible way. He is so sort of central to everything about the brand.
Well, he's the only designer who actually designs all the clothes himself. All the other brands, they have teams of designers, but
Stefano Pilati used to design.
No, okay, well, maybe Stefano
One
Pilati
other.
as well. But very few, there are very few major designers in the world who do everything from the jewellery to the buttons to the clothes to the silhouettes. So he is all-encompassing, and
that's true.
so it's very pure, and it's always about him.
You feel it's an emotion. It's his emotional kind of present. It's his delivery.
And I think you even see that with the girls he picks for someone like Keira Knightley to sort of represent the brand. You get the sense that they're someone that he absolutely has thought about and feels like they just get this little ingredient that he injects somewhere throughout his brand.
And he's not miserable.
No.
Some very successful designers can get a bit miserable, and he thrives on it, and he loves it, and he doesn't take it. Well, the most interesting thing I found, because I've worked with him for many years, is that he doesn't take it that seriously. I mean, it's very serious, but it's very throwaway how he approaches it. So he's not obsessing about something. It's very, it's very, he amazingly designs in a very casual way. It's very free.
You'd never imagine that,
yes,
would
and
you?
you would never imagine that, because you would think, designers are control freaks. That's what design means. It's a point of view. And he controls the whole thing, but in a very interesting way. And he's very inclusive and exclusive. But he thrives on the whole machine of all of the people that he works with. So he's unreal.
I'm interested that you mentioned sort of inclusive and exclusive, because there is that sense running through Chanel. It's something that you brought up, Quentin, this idea of you can wear it with jeans, and you can wear in a very traditional sense. And I think he loves to play with high and low culture. He loves it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's part of its success, this idea that it's this huge brand and everyone can have a piece because everyone can buy the perfume?
Well, he's been designing for how many years?
30.
30?
Really? Yeah.
But before that he was designing so he's been designing for 60 years.
Yeah.
So he's a very accomplished designer.
He's a real professional.
He's a real professional, and he knows how clothes are made, and I've seen how he interacts with the ateliers and the experts, be it the tailors or the seamstresses. He knows exactly what they're doing, how to do it, and how to make it work.
But it's also this idea of designer as celebrity, which I think
he's the ultimate designer celebrity.
Yeah. Do you think that's part of the success of the brand of Chanel? Do you think people...
Of course, because he's the biggest fashion star in the world.
I mean, things like him doing the Grand Theft Auto thing.
I
mean, I don't know what he did because I've never seen it, but I thought
he's the voice of the fictitious radio station in Grand Theft Auto.
I just think the way of infiltrating himself into the world of children is really sort of genius.
And things like his cat, which he's turned into this thing. I know, because you look at the cat thing and you think that's just horrific, but I suppose it's another element of marketing, But how has he avoided, maybe this is a question for you, Camilla, as a journalist, how has he avoided becoming kind of seen as a gimmick or seen as a joke? Because I think people still have a huge amount of respect for the House of Chanel.
He is the most, Philip, and people that have met him, he has the most brilliant mind. When you meet him, his brain is like whirring at 400 miles per hour, and he goes off on so many tangents, and you know, his mind is like a library of information, and I think the more he plugs himself into the young, the future, the next idea, he's got 10 iPads, not just one iPad. He doesn't just do something, he totally immerses himself in something, and I think that's what keeps him sort of very current and young, because he's not afraid of the future, he's sort of like running to catch it.
He embraces it.
Yeah.
And also the weirdest thing is when people haven't met him, and sometimes they meet him and I say, what did you think? And they say, he was really nice. And so they expect him to be a scary monster.
Yeah.
And
well, he can be very bitchy, some of the things he says.
The biggest, but it's just that he's charming and sharp, and a few years ago I met him at something I hadn't seen him for many years, and he called me up in London, and I said, he said, it was nice to see you. So I said, it was fantastic to see you too. I said, I always tell everybody about you that you treat the cleaner the same way as you do the supermodel. And he answered in the most fantastic choreography way, and he said, well, we need them both.
Yeah,
so
that's great. Yeah.
It's he's charming to everybody, whether you're the cleaner or whether you're supermodel. So I like that.
Yeah, no,
because
that's
that
very
has
good
a charm.
indeed.
That is an extra charm, because people think when you arrive at where you think you want to be, that is an opportunity to look down on people, but you get the best out of people when you don't.
Yeah.
And do you think that's been the success as a whole of sort of his time at Chanel, is that paradox between being something very exclusive but being something that is fun and kind? And it seems that his designs are quite like that, but he as a person is like that, and a lot of the marketing is like that. There's almost this...
Well, he's highly cultured and highly intelligent, and he knows how to be with people, and he hasn't ended up being isolated like many successful designers become, and that not isolating yourself has proved to be part of his success. I mean, he's a brilliant designer, but you can't just be that today. He's a communicator, because fashion is about communication as well, and entertainment, which is why, you know, it's not just a boring runway.
No.
Yes, we've got windmills today, which is pretty exciting, wind turbines. I want to talk a little bit about his aesthetic, but first I do want to focus on something that was brought up yesterday, which is we talked about how we've got Raf going to Dior, and obviously we had Eddie at Yves Saint Laurent last night. And do you think there is, I think it is part and parcel of the press love to have something to kind of talk about. They love to have a debate, they love to have a battle. But do you think that these kind of two relatively young designers, very new, very different aesthetic, a very different type of designer to Karl, much more sort of closed off, reclusive, draw a lot on street culture, much more sort of sombre in their work in a sense, as they don't sort of indulge in some of the fantasy that Karl does. Do you think that is going to change how we see a designer? Because they're not loud, they're not celebrities, they're very much more...
Well, they have to work very hard. So fashion is an illusion. It's very hard work, but he makes it look easy. It's supposed to look easy. It's supposed to look effortless, but it sure isn't effortless. So it's just he does it best.
Yeah, no, he's
whole
brilliant
game.
at that. I mean, I've never actually met him, but...
Really?
Have you not?
No, but...
You'd love him.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously read so much about him and what he said, and always been
It's
really
fascinating.
interested. Yeah, clearly, and I'm
charming.
fascinated by him too. But then what you were saying just then, I was thinking the other day, what would Chanel be like without him? And he's so...
It wouldn't be so
he's the
interesting.
heart that pumps the blood. He keeps it so alive and so fresh. But then the whole nature of fashion is that, someone like Phoebe Philo, who's the antithesis, is very, very reclusive and quiet, is also fascinating for that reason as well.
Yeah.
So it's not that that's the only way you have to be. And someone like Raf Simons, who seems quite a, less forthcoming person, I don't really know, but that's interesting as well. So, there isn't a way to be, but certainly I think for Chanel, which is such an old school heritage, such a classic brand, to have someone
I think it's just
You know,
like
to
being
have
any sort
him
of
there
artist.
is
You're either the
amazing.
showman or you can be a reclusive artist, and some people just their work speaks, and sometimes they are part of their work. And for him, it's almost like a sort of performance art. He's sort of really ingrained with the overall product and brand, and that works really well. But like Bella was just saying, I think you can have somebody that just puts forward their work and allows that to be the art.
He does both.
Yeah.
So it's good, and he's good at it.
Yes.
And good at all of this part of it.
So you don't think we'll start to see an end of the designer as celebrity?
No.
I think the
It's just
opposite.
everybody's a
It'll probably be
designer
another
today. So designer means a different thing today.
Yeah.
You know, the parking attendant could be the next designer at, and it's believable today. Whereas at one time it was unbelievable. But there's an inclusiveness to that is interesting, and I believe in the democratic approach to fashion. However, some people are better at it than others.
I mean,
And
he
he
is
is.
such a chameleon to life. He can do elitist, he can do, he can relate to people in all sorts of ways. And I think that that's part of his strength. You know, he does know how to tap into what the feeling is for now, I think. He's always very modern, but at the same time he keeps the heritage pumping through it. He's very plugged into what the codes are, what he wants to say, what he knows is modern as much as he knows is true to the brand.
And it's great to have someone of his age who's so modern, who's so like up there with the, on the forefront of
He's cool, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, people still look up to him. I don't think anyone looks at him and
and
thinks
young
he's dated.
people really look up to him because he's so receptive to new ideas, and that's a real credit to, he's clearly very open-minded and looking for opportunities for ideas all the time. That's always super interesting.
I'm interested that you said it's fashion as entertainment, and you said that's what
Well,
it should be.
fashion is entertainment.
Yeah.
And it's a communicator for people. I mean, everyone's interested in fashion today. At one time design was an exclusive word. Now it's an inclusive. Kids at school are interested in design. They know about designers. They've got the internet. So it's part of our world today. You don't just have people that are interested, but everyone's vaguely interested in some way. I mean, some people like to say they're disinterested, but you can't
it's now
miss
like-
those ads or the press.
It's
or
changed so radically in 20
Yeah.
years. Fashion was an exclusive, like a niche thing.
Yes.
And
And it-
now it's completely mainstream and everyone is interested, even someone's dad, because someone's dad is now our age or whatever,
Yes.
But
But the point of it is creating desire.
yeah.
That's because fashion's more accessible, that everyone can be interested
And it's
in.
much better as well, because 20 years ago the high street was just
And
terribly badly
Particularly
done.
in England, it's very
Yeah.
accessible,
Yeah.
more so I think than if you go to other European
I mean, it's
countries.
probably the most copied brand in the world, Chanel.
Chanel.
Yeah.
You know, I saw this press piece in the Standard yesterday. It was talking about the success of Zara, and the outfit was a Chanel suit.
Yeah.
And but they have taken it to such another level. I mean, Chanel, that it doesn't matter. Everyone copies it anyway. Everyone has versions of it. But the whole experience of buying Chanel is fascinating. I mean, I used to buy Chanel from my sister, and
Lucky sister.
yeah, and so when you go into the and so otherwise I would never have understood the experience of buying Chanel. So you go into the shop, and the shop is beautiful, and the tissue is great, and the box is great. So beyond the actual thing, it's I could understand, because I have no interest in shopping, I could understand why it is so fantastic, because you just think you've bought the Holy Grail, and you've just bought a jacket. But
And
the
even
whole-
when you buy a nail polish from the
Yeah.
actual shop, you get the bag
Yeah.
and you have a ribbon,
Yeah.
and as a gift, that is just a lovely thing.
I mean, once you get beyond the sort of potential designer shop frostiness with the attendants, but once you don't care about that,
Once they
then-
realise you've got a wallet.
yeah, then you know, it is the brand that you can buy a lipstick, and I mean, you buy lipstick with lots of brands, but Chanel is different.
Feels
Yeah.
better. But it's strange because he is walking this line between doing something that feels very kind of inclusive with these adverts, that everyone sees, that are all over television, that everyone knows, like that Nicole Kidman one, but also doing something that feels like kind of fashion at its roots, which is this sense of incredible luxury and that kind of buzz you get, even if you're buying a lipstick or a nail polish, of unwrapping it. So it's kind of fashion as something for the everyman, but also fashion for a select few, even though that select few.
Yes.
I mean, beauty
everyone.
and fashion works like that. I mean, beauty allows everyone to buy into the brand, but really most people can't afford Chanel. So, I mean, they do set that up so that they have, the ultimate, which is the shows and the clothes, but the trickle-down effect is the beauty ads, and everyone can buy into that and feel kind of included in that way, but really they're not included in the fashion brand.
I mean, it's a pyramid effect, isn't it? It goes from the couture right down to the...
Yes.
Also, people with not much money will spend a lot more money than they used to do on a pair of glasses or something, which is kind of weird in a way, but that they want to buy the real thing, so you can make loads of copies, but people will still scrimp and save to have this really expensive pair of glasses or one thing that's the real thing rather than just a
every
copy.
little girl growing up wants a Chanel handbag, and it's strange that it's kind of like sort of osmosis. It permeates everyone's brain. Every young girl knows it, and I think it is incredible when you think about it.
What's interesting is it's not that radical. It's still the same
Yeah.
bag. And
But
it's
it never
still
feels
a
staged.
tweed suit.
That's
And
probably
it's still
why,
a tweed jacket.
Yeah.
And it's still
because
some
people
pearls
recognise
and
the back when they
chains.
use
Yeah.
it since they
But
were
it
a kid
doesn't
until when they're a
seem-
teenager.
Yeah.
Old.
No, it still gives you that same lurch, you know. You have that kind of, oh God, I really wanted more than I realised, which
Also,
is incredible.
Also, they they reline clothes and jackets. You can take back to the shop and have your jacket relined. And it sounds like I'm doing an ad for Chanel, but it's just
I
just
once had
experience. Or all the chains on the end of the jacket. It just seems that bit more than what other brands can offer. It's just a little bit extra. That actually is what it's all about.
I once had a dream that Karl Lagerfeld said, I always reline a jacket. As soon as I have a new jacket, I reline it instantly.
It's obviously the reason.
Yeah.
We've got the first look in from Spring/Summer 13. There's going to be a lot of looks.
The
so
polka dots or pearls?
I think it's
They look like
pearls. Yeah,
Great.
you can see it's raised up. But you said it's nothing. It's
Well, this
nothing-
is kind of, this is interesting because it looks like polka dots, but it's pearls. And, pearls are about Chanel, so it's good.
It's-
And they're
interesting.
wearing his
Skirt,
gloves.
leather, and so they've sort of again brought in the kind of the use of the leather and the sort of punkiness with the pearls,
Yeah.
and that's when I think Chanel's really
And it
successful.
summarises everything we're saying, which is really good for us because it makes us look really smart. But it is the sense that it is so classic and it's so traditional, and that'll be in Zara, it'll be in H&M, like a polka dot jumper. It won't have pearls, it'll just be polka dots, and every
Probably
young
will
kid will
have
wear
They'll
that.
pretty
pearls,
have
actually.
plastic pearls.
Plastic pearls, exactly. But here it's kind of this ultimate luxury, but it's also toughened with that leather. It's just kind of what Chanel.
I like that he's put the things he wears, his gloves.
His gloves.
That's what it looks like to
And
me.
I like the two-tone shoes that they're very Chanel, but they're
They're really nice, aren't they?
are they see-through as well?
Yeah, it looks like it's got some sheer going on it. And just to give you some background on the show, it's at the Grand Palais, obviously, and hairs is Sam McKnight, and then the nails is Marion Newman, and makeup's Peter Phillips. And we did have a quick look backstage, but you can see all these wooden turbines in the venue.
Yeah.
So just to give you a bit of that incredible atmosphere of the show. And there's Kanye and J-Lo, and as always, the Chanel machine. Very well oiled.
Do we know anything about what the wind turbines is about? Some sort of energy?
I presume, it's energy and very eco-friendly, which is kind of ironic because he's not been the most ethical brand in
But
other
maybe
ways.
he's saying that he's blowing in a new energy. Maybe he's doing it as a symbol to say, well, don't worry about the other houses having a shake-up. I'm still blowing in big energy.
Is it that
That's
calculated?
very
Or is it
good.
just
I like
about
that
the vibe of
interpretation.
Chanel? I think with his shows you always get the sense it's just like...
The
look what
turbines
I
are
can do.
directed at the audience, though, so hopefully he's going to turn them on and blow everyone's
Everyone's
hair.
hair on. I think we've got some more images and stuff so we can have a look. But Second look, it's polka dots again. But this idea of designer as dictator again. I know it sounds really negative, but the sense of everyone knows that's a Karl glove.
Yeah.
And the point where you're that iconic, you know, that you can reference yourself in your house, it's pretty spectacular. Shout if you want me to stop at any point, because I'll go through.
And there's the signature.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And I think that's
leather instead of the grey.
instead of
Yeah, because when I saw Amanda Harlick in Paris, and she was saying how that he's taken the braid off, and he's using tweed, sort of tweed on tweed, using fabrics in a kind of different way than he normally does.
Yeah.
But it's so classic, you know, it goes back to what we all know of the Chanel suit, that idea of something just kind of perfectly cut and really beautiful. And you have your backstage.
She said he'd broken all Chanel codes, taken tweed and overlaid onto other tweeds and other fabrics to make it very stiff. And some of the things that she showed me were, you know, like this formal, stiff kind of feeling to them. That's great. I love that.
I know, I love that. But it's interesting because
you could really see that jacket with anything.
Yeah,
you couldn't. He's slouching along.
But it's strange because he breaks the codes, but he also always sticks to this kind of broader Chanel code, or his own code, which is really interesting. He's as you said, kind of take a jacket and completely change what it was originally about, but it still feels very Chanel. And I think that is his genius, and that is the kind of the difficulty. But he does it so well.
In a way, this seems a little more stripped back and wearable, actually, than previous collections. I mean, there's not, you can't immediately put your finger on what the theme is, and it's sort of like a novelty or something. It's actually...
The theme is Chanel.
Yeah, it's Chanel, but immediately, like, I can see somebody, you know, in their 40s or in their 20s, or just throwing on those outfits straight away without having to work out how they're going to make them work for themselves.
No, I think you're right.
And also there's surprisingly few necklaces, jewellery, embellishment. Yeah.
That's nice.
That's really
that is
nice.
really beautiful. That's simple.
Beautiful girl.
Yeah, she's gorgeous, isn't her?
We're getting more of the additions with that one.
I like the way the silhouette goes from very strict to full, like the volume is changing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this was something Amanda talked about, like a skirt as a dress, and inside that there's this amazing construction, so it's like you've pulled up your skirt, but it actually stays perfectly and gives you all the right shape.
All the right shape.
Can you wear it as a skirt as well, though?
That would be the ultimate in recession fashion.
That's what then the groovy girl does, isn't it? Yeah. She'll wear the dresses.
But I like that he looks how modern young women dress. Like, remember he did that collection where he did it all inspired by this kind of skinny trousers and t-shirts, and obviously it was incredible, much more structured, beautifully tailored, and like just gorgeous fabrics. But it was just inspired by the way he saw all these kind of 20-something girls running around in the street wearing skinny jeans and tunic tops, and there's always this sense of relevance, I think, in what he does. I'll go quite quickly because we've got a lot of looks to get through. And this is you can see it's
Perspex.
Perspex.
Very Madame, that little part, but then the Perspex makes it a bit funky.
Yeah. Well, have you seen him with his beach bag backstage?
The little miniature one. Yes.
It's like a hula hoop come bag.
There was somebody that had a tiny little sort of bag with an umbrella in, so you had a quilted umbrella holder that you could stick over your shoulder. It was
That's
really
the
good.
ultimate luxury,
You definitely want one of those.
And what's your verdict on the headwear?
It's great. He loves hats. He knows about hats. He knows what a hat can look like, what it should look like, and how to make it look young.
What should a hat do?
Entertain and flatter and make your day a bit better.
I love that. Make your day a bit better.
Oh, I love that catsuit thing under. I saw that hanging up. That was really nice. That was sort of looked really Barbarella and
Who loves a
Sort
jumpsuit
of corset on top of that.
And then
I think it's an all-in-one, and she's wearing like a cropped jacket.
Yeah, it comes up to there,
kind
and
of
then and she has a little jacket on top to make it Chanel. Yeah, it was really good.
And it's really similar to what you were saying, Quentin, with this idea of you can see this translating to young girls, to older women, to every man and his dog in a way, you know, will love it. All in one again. And you can see the dynamism of the show. You can see how we've got like multiple models coming in the background, and how he's.
Can we see close-ups of their
And there's
faces
a
to see the
network,
makeup?
We can go back through. We've got close-ups at the end. Yeah.
That's quite interesting fabric.
It's nice to see
Sort of almost Aztec.
playful for spring, summer as well, because we've brought this up in other discussions, but everything's been so black all season. So it's nice to see, you know, with Chanel you're going to get something fun and girly and
There's
so
nothing
forth.
uncommercial about it,
No.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very commercial.
But do you think that's kind of a sign of the times? It's almost like you're going to have Raf doing something kind of very pointed at Dior, you're going to have Eddie
Chanel is
and
always
Saint Laurent.
commercial.
Yeah.
But commercial in a very expensive way, and in a desirable way.
But it's great that he hasn't felt kind of, oh, there's such a buzz about Paris, I'm going to have to do something new and make
He
a
was
point.
never going to get ruffled by something like that, though.
He never has been over the years.
Yeah.
When anybody came along, he's warrior.
Yeah.
But in a way, the hair and the accessories and everything is so more confident than they've been before. That's, you know, just very plain, and the clothes are speaking, and I think that's really great.
Yeah.
Rather than the girls having to have like different coloured hair, or, you know.
Well, especially you saw that in his resort, you know,
Resort
with the
with
girls
bright
with the
blue
really
bobs
bright
and-
hair and the incredible makeup.
But I think that's also a reflection of how he's always looking at what's around him and always changing. Like, he's done pink hair recently, so he wouldn't want to do it again. He doesn't repeat himself.
Or he repeats himself in a really intentional way, you know, that he makes it obvious that he wants to explore something again. You never get the sense it's stayed, which is really...
Yeah.
Lindsay Wixom is really cute.
She's the one with the O mouth.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Sure is.
Pretty. Yeah.
Oh wow, so it's a jacket, and the line of the jacket goes perfectly onto the line of the dress, I think, unless that's a tie that goes.
Those
with that.
hats are really amazing, actually. I mean, you can imagine them in
Yeah.
shoots and things, and because the girl doesn't even look like she's holding a hat, it looks like she's sort of
You should be wearing
levitating
them,
this
though.
sort of black stuff
Yeah,
in there.
do they wear them at all?
Hopefully we'll get them wearing them. Amy said to me on my earpiece
They
that there's
must
some
have
great hats
taken
coming
them
up.
off.
So
At the end or something.
They always do that. Somebody
Yeah.
always interferes.
Take the hat off.
Yeah, put it on.
do you think every look should have a hat? When's the best time for a hat?
But you know, it's very choreographical to have them carry the hats and think, rather than chuck them aside and say we don't feel like it. It's just, you know, people. He's not controlly backstage. It's all very
Also having
easygoing.
the
actually.
glove is great with the hat too, isn't it?
Apparently throughout the collection they are just holding the hats, so it's interesting.
It's very him to, you know, he will have a word for it, saying, you know, hat in hand look next season, or people should be holding their hat next season.
I wonder whether there's a reason, like when they walk, the hats were wobbling and falling off, or whether it was.
Yeah, it's probably something
intentional.
really simple. One of the girls.
No, I mean,
But
it
he
looks-
could have seen some amazing girl
Yes.
holding
Holding
a
a
hat.
hat, yeah.
And then someone like, you know, inventive will think,
accessory.
oh, that's a look,
Actually, I tell you
rather
what,
than it just being
potentially it
incidental.
could be, but I'm just guessing. It's just that Perspex wobbles, so
Yeah.
you know, maybe
Oh,
when the
yeah.
girl
Maybe you're
walks,
getting a
it's
Rolls
this
Harris
kind of-
Yeah,
noise.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just as cool, you know, that's kind of the nonchalance of Chanel, like why
Yeah,
not carry
it's
your
great.
hat?
Yeah, I think it's really sort of, it's
It's really
typical Chanel. It's
stylish,
so
isn't it?
chic to be like, well, don't wear it, just hold it. But
The
just
wind
you've still
turbines
got
might have
it.
blown it off as well.
This is true.
There are many reasons why they can. It's very playful, this collection as well. It's kind of, there's something quite sweet and prim about it, which is last for fall, and it was fall, so it's quite natural, but it was a bit kind of, a bit darker, a bit very tomboyish when you did those trousers and the boots, and it's nice to see kind of like girlishness.
Well, all the girls look like they're 12.
Yeah.
So
It's the party, it's the middle party.
I think it's
gives them that.
just us.
Oh.
Mind you, you're 10 years younger. It's me.
I like that cocoon sleeve.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good.
And the footwear is very modern and fresh, that kind of ugly shoe, but intentionally ugly, like chunky and heavy.
I like the way it's got like furniture detailing, like 30s kind of, that ivory white and that beige and white. Well, those classic Chanel colourings, aren't they?
Well, it's nice when in the opening looks when he did that kind of classic Chanel shape, but rather than having the white, it had that kind of clear perspex, and it is that kind of modernising classics. Great hat again.
Great colour.
It's very regal in its own way, with those pearls. There's that kind of, I'm a Chanel girl, fabulousness about it. Very commercial.
That could almost be Kenzo or something.
Yeah. It is very youthful the way it's styled together.
Yeah.
This sort of volume, all these different volumes.
How's she holding that bag?
Volume
Bag
is the new
I think it's got a little clasp behind it.
Just big enough for a mobile phone and lip gloss.
It's kind of interesting.
But I think it is partly the styling that makes it seem so kind of peppy and youthful, but you think if you take some of those pieces
that's really
and they style it all in-house.
They style it, put the piece, looks together in-house.
I think it's great the way they don't have a stylist come in to sort of, destabilise. Sometimes that can be so sort of undermining in a funny way, because the designer or the team has built up this kind of mood and this image, and then someone comes along and sort of shreds it, and then it's quite hard to...
He's the stylist.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's interesting that you said...
He's seen it all.
That's something we said with Yves Saint Laurent yesterday. They just felt over-styled, and when you see a designer's aesthetic just kind of gone a bit array because of the way it's presented, whereas with him, in some of the looks, there's a lot going on. They're holding a hat, they've got a jacket over a jumpsuit, and they've got pearls on their wrist, pearls on their neck, but it doesn't feel fussy. There's always that cleanliness to it.
It's a big long runway they're walking, isn't it? You can see it's like a big long space.
But I think that's the might of Chanel. Why not have a massive?
Great.
No.
I love that.
You've got the sort of check on the floor.
It's so cute. And that model is gorgeous, isn't
The girls
she?
look really cool.
Yeah, she looks like one of those
like,
Japanese girls in the street, doesn't she? Just
really confident.
wearing things in such an eccentric way. It's
I think she's got little rings on over her gloves, unless they're an embellishment on the
No,
glove.
I've seen that on quite a few, all of them.
It's nice as
That's
colour as
adorable,
well.
yeah, I really like that.
Really sweet.
The primary colours are almost quite surprising for Chanel, and they really work mixed in with the collection of pastels.
And I like the kind of the contrast of doing something kind of straight in the A-line with that curve. It's very fun and peppy. It's strange because I'm looking at this and you can't pin down what's really new about it, but it does always feel really on the pulse and really modern, even though it's like...
It's been all dresses and skirts so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, all dresses and skirts, apart from those jumpsuits, which had a...
Right.
Well, he said in the press that he was absolutely not going to be doing a tuxedo this season. He said that there was to be no reference to the smoking.
Why isn't he?
Why?
Can't imagine.
Why is that?
No, I think he just didn't want to get drawn into any comparisons to the movements at Saint Laurent and Dior, so he's very much sticking to classic Chanel codes. And although Chanel was the first designer to put women in trousers, I think he's focusing on a very feminine woman. But I don't know, so far we're only at halfway point on the collection. He always does enormous collections.
Philip, you kind of said he's not sort of, he never thinks about what's going on elsewhere. He's very sort of secure.
He thinks about everything, but he's not precious about it.
Sorry, I got you just okay.
So it's quite, he works in a very loose way, very controlled, but it seems effortless. There's no freaking out, there's no angst, it's just, that's how it is.
Do you think he is just unflappable? Do you think he worries about who's going to replace him? Do you think he thinks about that?
I'm sure he doesn't even think on any of those levels.
I bet he does.
Of course,
I think that's part of why he's so lively. I'm sure he's not preoccupied, but he's he must be conscious. Well, he's supremely aware by the looks of how he works of, time and movement and new people and that seems to be what, and he looks so current
But
or ahead of the game.
But I think he enjoys it all and enjoys the actual work. So he works all the time, non-stop.
Quentin,
Always drawing.
You've kind of done work for him, and I'm interested that you say he looks at everything, because do you get the sense that he's always looking at what's going on, sort of what young people are doing, what new movements there are in art?
Absolutely. he always, you're
It's
really...
like a Hoover. Hoovers up everything.
I think so, he's really into Azealia Banks at the moment, and, he just knows. And I think he's got a real feeling for the zeitgeist, and I think you can feel that in his collections.
How does he find the time?
I don't know.
I think
He doesn't
it's like a
sleep.
level of insanity. You just make time.
You keep going through, because it'll be a heavy number of looks.
How did you come to work with him? How did he...
Oh, it was. I first worked with the beauty side of Chanel,
Right.
and then through that side, I got introduced to the fashion side, and they're actually quite different.
Did you work in the studios?
No, I worked back in my studio.
Okay.
That must have been really exciting.
Super exciting.
Yeah. It is very anti-the smoking, isn't it? Girly.
It's very anti-what?
The smoking, very...
Oh.
There's no...
So that's what the anti-smoking sign meant. Why does he care about that? It's anti-less
That
smoking.
on
No
the
smoking
packets of
here.
cigarettes instead. That would be better.
Yeah.
Wow, that shows he is a little bit concerned about what is going on elsewhere.
But that's
Well,
good.
it just shows that he's playful.
No, but it's good, isn't it? I mean, otherwise it seems complacent not to even give any consideration to...
Chanel's not really about smoking.
No,
Anyway.
no, it wasn't really about the
So-
smoking jacket, but suit, but I think he made that comment so he was just like, right, we've had that conversation, now let's move on and focus on Chanel. I mean, those look like the little convent dresses or, the sort of, I could imagine those being very Coco Chanel.
They're very numb.
It's a little
Yeah.
spoiled
Really,
girl, isn't it?
It's very schoolgirl.
Yeah.
Dressed perfectly.
Sunday best.
But that was a very sort of
Sunday best.
big code for her, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To look at her convent school uniform and that type of vibe.
Yeah, because there were the girls from good families
Yeah.
who had beautiful uniforms.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really school uniforming.
So there's the little turbines made of organza.
That is adorable.
Yeah.
Are there turbines on the dress?
Yeah.
Yeah, teeny tiny organza turbines.
Oh, that's really cool.
But it's interesting because that's such a marriage of something really modern, this eco-friendly, pioneering technology with a very kind of quaint and sweet shape. And it's,
It just looks like floral embroidery. It's in
Exactly.
a very classic way.
but that's the whole thing, it's marrying modern and old. I really want that hat. This is the ultimate leave me alone hat.
I wonder whether the PVC's got UV protection, so it's still...
Oh, let's hope so.
I bet it does.
Maybe that's...
That's a good...
Wow.
That's
I
clever.
love
That's
the way he
really
shows
clever.
That's a really
swimwear
great
as
way
a
of
collection.
doing it.
It's fantastic.
And that incredible beach
That is brilliant.
bag with the... I can't see what she's got in her sunglasses, but...
Oh,
She's
she's
got
got, I'll show you,
Coco
it's here.
Chanel
Yeah.
sunglasses
There's a little picture, see?
with pearls
Oh,
on.
adorable.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little Coco
Yeah.
Chanel wearing pearls.
Great the way he brings her in, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but bringing those C's in,
Yeah.
it's just so smart.
I wonder whether when she turns around those C's are actually two circles so that they create like a perfect C's on the back and front.
Yeah, and back and front. That, again, that
cool.
skirt, dress,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
That's really nice, isn't it?
And it's also, you can see down to last detail by him putting that on Cara, who's such a cool young modern
Yeah.
girl, really like face of the season. You get the sense that everything is perfect. He's thought about what's the type of girl that wears every one of my
Yeah.
pieces.
I think so, and all of the hair seems to work really well with the colour of that outfit. So the girls with the whiter hair have been wearing the kind of more fluorescent pastels and things, so it's sort of the whole girl works together.
And the hair at the back is pinned with a pearl bobble.
Mm. I like your little pearl in your ear as well, Quentin. You're doing a little shout out there. It's great.
So now we've got to pants.
I love that. All those layers, all those levels. That's great.
I wonder what that fabric is.
Yeah, I saw it. It's like a crepe de chine.
Okay, because it could almost look like a denim from here or something.
Yeah. Well, the dress was a crepe de chine anyway.
But that's so
And the
modern,
trousers.
isn't it? And that's so kind of, it's a nod to what other people are doing, that kind of layering the skirt over trousers, and it's this idea of you take a piece and you wear it how you want, and much more kind of flexible. It's less about, you know, a perfect suit that you buy and you wear as one.
I feel like feels like there's a slight Indian influence here, the kind of...
but he's played with that.
Yeah, in previous seasons he seems to have
Also,
come through
there's
here
Muslim schoolgirls who wear all those different lengths and trousers.
Yeah.
I've always loved that.
And they're slightly cropped, the trousers. Often.
Yeah.
That bag looks great. It looks like a piece of Lego.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really great colour palette when you think about all the different colours we've seen, and very playful. I always ask when we look at the images coming from the collection if this is what you're expecting, and you can't really say that with Chanel, because I think we all know sort of what we're going to get in a way, but it always feels kind of fresh in a sense.
With Chanel, you always expect luxury and something beautifully made, and I don't think he'll ever deviate from that.
You never quite know how he's going to shake it up, though, do you?
No,
And
that's what's so great, because that's the unexpected bit, isn't it? Because you know that it's going to be so beautifully made and finished and cut, and the proportion will be just right. But we haven't seen this bit.
No.
Well, I like the slight iridescent sheen there.
And coming into
the tweed.
Those really pastels.
Yeah, this is more. I think this feels more like what you would expect
What
if
you
you were
expect.
to lay an expectation on Chanel. It would be the
But then he's
tweeds with
got
the
this
jewels and
bubble skirt
Bubble
thing
skirt's
going on.
interesting.
Where's that come from? That's obviously just what he wants to do. It's really charming.
Oh, I love that hat with the pink.
Yeah.
Great colours.
It's a commercial collection in a sense as well. You know, you can see like we've had the accessories and the bags, but it never feels kind of
Like he's selling you that.
No.
Does it? It always seems completely natural. Oh, that's great.
so cute.
It'd be great to see the back of that. I wonder how that. Maybe it's buttoned down the back.
That's really nice actually.
It's really beautiful.
Stella.
Stella back on the ranch.
Yeah, God, it's always great to see her.
So
isn't it?
gorgeous.
She's so brilliant.
Coolest girl.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, isn't that lovely? See, those things, I think no one can touch him on that.
No.
That sort of, you know, that just prettiness and so beautifully executed and so flattering. Like she looks like a little
And it's quite a
bird,
couture-like
doesn't she?
technique
Yeah.
that he's using on ready-to-wear there.
It's interesting with those kind of
Tights.
the retro-y, that sheer black. It's something kind of
But then it sort of works so well with the sheer and the dress and the sort
Yeah.
of the see-through that's been in the hat. So
Yeah.
it all seems very considered.
There are the turbines. Those are the ones that I
Yeah.
saw.
And the quilting there, that's
Yeah.
really to see that iconic bit. It's like the double C's just employed.
But I like the length.
Wow.
It'd be really good if they did turn the wind turbines on and do all the kind of flowers.
She would
Yes.
love that.
Very.
wouldn't she? Who's that girl? I love
That girl, I
her
can't
face.
She's,
remember her name.
Yeah, I can't remember her name either. She's
from
done-
New York.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's done a lot. She's She's really beautiful.
Yeah.
She's quite different looking to the other models right now. Almost sort of Patti Smith or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, true. I love the simplicity of this, you know, he's gone from things that are quite embellished and quite playful, very young.
Really feels like we've moved through different collections actually.
Yeah, but it feels really considered, you know, he's
stage
played with so many different colours
that brown?
and shapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like this is like a chocolate,
Brown
really
and
deep
black, is
chocolate.
it?
That's chic.
Really chic. We're getting towards the end of our mammoth Chanel.
Number outfit 67.
Yeah.
God, no one shows that many outfits anymore.
It's just incredible.
But they're so fast and so
Well,
entertaining.
look how many models there are.
Wow. Oh, I love that.
That's just so chic.
That's real nun look, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's great.
But you juxtapose that against some of the earlier pieces we saw, you know, those kind of schoolgirly, little prim, colourful, and it's almost like it's a different collection, but it's just so Chanel.
The collar's similar, but in a way, on the black dress it becomes a nun, and on the girl's school dress it becomes uber feminine and girly, so you can kind of...
That's lovely.
Yeah.
I saw that
That's
piece of
interesting.
cloth actually.
What is it?
It's like
3D embroidery.
Yeah, it's big embroidery, and Virginie, who's the head of the studio there, she was saying they wanted to do something that was almost like rough and wild, and the fabric is like, it almost looks like a sackcloth but with a bigger mesh. But obviously it's incredibly expensive fabric.
And it's interesting that shape, you know, that kind of pulled up skirt shape, we saw that in a denim, and we've seen that in much more casual fabrics than you see it there, and
That's gorgeous.
it's really beautiful. I love that he has just gone girly.
Yeah.
Does this girl just walk around with her mouth open?
Lindsay, she's so beautiful.
So
Nick,
beautiful.
Nick
Every
shot
time
her,
you see
but-
her, it's like that, isn't
Her
it?
mouth is so
Yeah.
round she can't close
It's
it.
amazing.
Nick took the most amazing picture of her. We shot her for Liechtenstein inspired like
Oh,
pop
wow.
art thing, and she just looks amazing. I'll show you one more. She's gorgeous. Okay.
It's an editor's dress if there ever was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Those are great. I love those sort of 60, you know, like Romy Schneider,
Yeah.
the scene, she'd be wearing that.
You could see
Just
her.
so chic.
And you can see
Really
how
sexy.
3D that is there when you can see that's a bit of the green and this is the
Yeah.
Great.
floral.
I wonder whether it's down the back of the dress.
Yeah, I
so
think
that's
it's
similar.
going around there because you can see the.
Maybe just at the bottom.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
just
so you can
cupping
still
around the
see.
bottom.
So your sequins don't grind off onto the chair.
And that's the closing look of it.
The collection kind of came
Wow.
full circle, so the
Really
sort of
nice,
beginning
very
and end
nice.
of
Yeah.
it joined each other.
Yeah. No, you're right. Let's see if we have Uncle Carl. They're here.
Wow.
What's he
Carl's
wearing?
tie.
Wow.
Tie.
What a tie.
That's enormous.
And it's the same as his shirt as well.
Yeah.
He's wearing like a Wall Street shirt. Oh, should we give him a round of applause?
Yeah.
We've got a few close-ups of hair and makeup on SHOWstudio, so we can have a look at some of Sam and Peter's wonderful work. So yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, the makeup's beautiful.
Great
Wow.
makeup.
But it didn't look
You
kind of-
didn't notice
No.
Yeah,
it.
it looked
It
so
was just
casual.
sort of looked perfect, didn't it?
Mm.
It just looked very young faced, didn't it?
It's nice seeing the look below from the side actually,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if anything it seems
Yeah.
even more casual and
Yeah.
more sort of thrown together.
And it's interesting because you imagine actually part of the appeal of that big perspex on the hat is you would have seen the girls' legs moving as they walked, carrying them through
Yeah.
there. And I imagine it looked almost like they were floating. And some of that embroidery. And then that's the hair with that big
Oh, that's
pearl.
lovely.
Yeah, to see all those circles going down the runway. That's
Yes.
Oh,
That's
great.
clever.
Yeah, really clever.
Did we see any hats with the black line on the edge, like on the front of the
No, that's the
lookbook?
bag, I think, that she's
Yeah.
got there.
But on this, there's
But
a
on
black
this-
line
Oh,
around,
oh,
isn't there?
yeah.
So
Because
there
that's
is
a really
one
nice
there,
graphic
isn't
opportunity.
there?
Yeah, I'm trying to work out if that's a hat or a bag. I think that's the bag.
I think that's the beach bag.
Yeah, the beach
yeah.
bag, but that's really... I love that you came so prepared, Ben. I'm very impressed. You put us the
Oh,
results
it's
to
just-
shame.
Incredibly fortunate.
This
I mean, that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
That looks like
The way it
something from a
flows.
Buñuel film, doesn't? You know that. What's her name? Seyrig, Delphine Seyrig.
Yeah.
Incredibly demure and incredibly sexy.
But I think it's really interesting to say the word demure, because I think no matter what he does, even if it was that kind of big branded swimsuit, which could look almost incredibly like labelly and tacky if you think about it, but there's always something demure and so chic about it, even when it's covered in pearls and emblazoned with a big logo.
It's like the dust, the golden dust
Yeah,
of Chanel that just gives you that protective elegance.
So what do you think the takeaway from this collection will be? Do you think people will love it? You can't really like or dislike a
I think it's a very strong Chanel collection. I think it will be very popular commercially, and I also think that the editors, there are lots of sort of elements, the perspex play with the bags, the glasses, like there are loads of takeaway accessories that they will be able to pick up on, but there are also loads of shapes that are very new proportions that still have the Chanel codes but are also very next summer. So I think he's, as usual, he's done something very clever.
Yeah, I think without having to have done anything completely new or divergent from what you'd expect, he's made loads of interesting shapes that editors are going to want to shoot, and you can see, the hat's been completely amazing in editorials, and the shoes being commercially really, really successful.
I mean, this sort of like almost like the savoir-faire of the skirt dress. That's a really cute idea. It's an obvious idea when you say it, but then when the way he's executed it is really, really chic. I think good, great.
And most importantly, to end on, do you think we should all wear those hats? Would you like to see them out and about around London on the tube?
Why not? Of course.
Any excuse. Brilliant. Should we give him another round of applause to close?